I just do the big special deluxe one. Hey there, I'm Karen Martini, and today for Celebrity Sandwich, I'm throwing together a hot chicken roll, a few herbs, a delicious dressing, and some fried onion rings on the side. I reckon a sandwich is always even better when you have a little side garnish as well. For me, it's that summer sandwich that I imagine that you can get when you're off the beach. There's gonna be this little pop-up somewhere selling a hot chicken roll, jammed with fresh herbs, mayonnaise, and really freshly roasted chicken. So that's where the roots of this recipe come from. I mean, what's not to love about that? So obviously, building in on top of the chicken, I've got a foundation of other ingredients. Now the herbs are pretty important to me. If anyone knows my cooking, I love fresh herbs. I'm using some dill and some parsley, and also some celery, but not the celery itself. It's actually the fine leaves inside, those soft yellow leaves. I like those in the sandwich mix as well. Some spring onion, and then we've got some lettuce, of course. Got some cos here, it could be iceberg, and I'm also using some watercress. Totally optional. It has a gentle pepper flavor that just works really well with the chicken and lifts everything in the sandwich. The other thing I'm using too is some mayonnaise, but I'm lightening it with some plain yogurt. Now the yogurt has this great sharpness to it. We're spiking the mayonnaise and yogurt mix with some green Tabasco, one of my favorite ingredients, especially through summer. It's got a bright green, soft kick to it. I'm addicted to it. Some room temperature butter. Black pepper is going in, a whole heap of salt, lemon juice, extra virgin oil, and I'm also sharpening the dressing with a little bit of vinegar as well. We start off with the dressing. I'm gonna put a little bit of raw garlic in it, not over the top, and don't panic because we mellow the raw garlic out with putting vinegar and lemon juice and salt on it straight away. Now I'm using a flake salt. I find when you're making a salad or cooking fresh ingredients, the flake salt, it's salty, but it's also gentle on the palate. We've got some lemon, again, straight onto the garlic. And what that does is it cures the garlic. It takes the sting out of the garlic. A little bit of vinegar, swirl that around a bit. Next in with a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. And now for the mayonnaise, really essentially important in a chicken roll. So a couple of tablespoons. I like to lighten the mayonnaise with some yogurt. It just sharpens flavors in the dressing and also makes it not too heavy. Some Tabasco. I'm using a green Tabasco. Next in with some herbs. Now I'm using parsley and some dill. And just chop over those. I'm chopping them over so they're not super fine, they're still a little bit fluffy, so they're still alive when they go into the dressing. I mean, this is supposed to be quick and easy, so don't sweat it too much. Into the dressing with the herbs. A hot chicken roll, a little bit of onion as well, but I'm using spring onion. I'll just use 2 because I'm not making 17 sandwiches. And it's just the whites of the onion that I'm after. This sort of chicken sandwich I always wished that my mum or dad would make for me to take to school. Now my girls are lucky enough to get this occasionally, not all the time. My sandwiches growing up were definitely not as complex as this. Some of the worst things was probably Strasbourg on brown bread with margarine and tomato sauce, which I was just repulsed by. That meant I didn't have very many friends at lunchtime because my lunchbox smelled too much from the sandwich. Where was I with the dressing? I picked off leaves from the celery heart and dropped them in. Totally optional, of course, in this sandwich, but I find I love that savoury flavour, especially these little yellow inner leaves. Really quite lovely. Anyway, getting on to the chicken, I literally got a nice bird, put it on some onion, seasoned it up with salt and pepper and some dried oregano, drizzled some oil over and cooked it for an hour. Now the breast or the leg? I'm a leg person myself. The leg works a little harder on the chicken and has a lot more flavour, so make sure you include a bit of both in the sandwich. And the other thing that's really important to remember is a little bit of the skin is the way to go, especially when you've roasted the bird yourself. That's where all the flavour is, and it keeps the sandwich or the mix really moist and quite delicious. Now we'll just stir that through. And just finishing off the dressing and the chicken, I'm just gonna add some black pepper. And the chicken will just absorb the flavors of the dressing and sit there quite happily while we deal with the bread. Some of the best sandwiches I've eaten in my life have been when I've been traveling. First one that comes to mind is in Positano, a caprese sandwich, if you like, a really soft ciabatta style loaf, and we hopped on a boat and went for a quick sail. And that's one of my best sandwich memories. It's such a simple thing. I think I walk on the line of a simple sandwich with ingredients you can identify and flavour that really speaks to you, if you like, when you bite into it. I'm not a big fan of the club sandwich. But then again, I could twist my arm, I'll give it a go. When it comes to the bread, something really fresh with a little bit of give or chewiness, but not too much. I find when the roll or the bread has got too much integrity, by the time you've bitten through it, all the filling's fallen out. So this is a nice, soft, fresh ciabatta. I'm gonna butter it, but I'm also going to put in some of the chicken juices into the bread before we fill it. That is the secret to a great chicken roll. So some butter, both sides, and some juices from the chicken roasting tray. Putting the resting juices from the chicken is what's going to taste so good in the sandwich that someone eating it is going to go, why is this so good? That's why it's going to be so good. And next, some lettuce, pretty important. Something crispy. I will just chop it slightly and pop that in on the bottom. I've also got some watercress. It's a peppery soft leaf, if you like. It's really good with chicken, totally optional. Now don't worry about dressing the lettuce because next is the chicken going in and there's plenty of dressing on that. Now this is pretty good on its own, but what makes a sandwich like this even better is the side. And I think if you're gonna do a deluxe sandwich, it needs something on the side. Some crispy fried onion rings are a great thing to make. And they're pretty simple. I've just pre-sliced some brown onion, about 1 centimetre thick, and thrown it into a bowl and covered it with buttermilk that you buy off the supermarket shelf. And I've let that sit for a couple of hours, and then you literally take the onions out of the buttermilk and toss them in a mix of fine polenta and flour and fry them off in olive oil for a couple of minutes, and then they're done. And I season them with salt and some paprika, just for that little smoky edge that goes really well with the chicken. So that's my celebrity sandwich. It's a deluxe hot chicken roll with fried onion rings. Let me tell you, it smells pretty good in here, so I've got to have some. Really good, if I do say so myself. Unsliced. Oh, Marge, forget about it. Butter, oil, and mayonnaise. Little brown. Down the middle, of course. Crust on. Crunchy. Oh, that is a really hard question, but I adore Vegemite some mornings, especially if I'm a bit dusty. Reuben, definitely Reuben. What's PB&J? Oh, no, BLT, definitely. Melbourne's best sandwich, there are far too many to mention, but I'm leaning towards a toasted type. There's the Makermonger Reuben and also a fabulous truffle Gruyere sandwich I had at Cumulus. What brings Victoria together? Good food, great company, and awesome sandwiches. So things to remember when you're making this deluxe hot chicken roll. Don't worry about the garlic in the base of the dressing. It's raw, but it disappears when you add vinegar and the lemon juice on it, and that melds into the yogurt and the mayonnaise. Keep those herbs really fluffy and perky so you can tell what you're eating, the dill and the parsley. Don't forget that spike of Tabasco because that just lifts the whole dressing. And when it comes to the chicken, it's got to be warm. It's got to be roasted on the day. And don't forget to use the juices from the pan. If you throw those out, it's criminal. All of those things together are heaven.